hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my show. I'm your host, Jessica T. Moore, and today I have a special guest, y'all. So, we have been friends for, I think this year make 10 years, and she has been on my show before. So, I'm definitely glad to have her back, coming and talking to us and just educating us and all the things. But I'm not going to give you too much because I do want you to learn from her about what it is that she does and all the amazing things and ways that she helps other people. But I will say that her name is Miss Delisha Hicks. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring her up. Hi, Delisha.
How are you?
How are you today?
I'm good, good. It's always good to see you.
Good to see you too. And you know what? I'm really excited because it just hit me that we've been knowing each other for 10 years. We met in 2014.
Yes, yes. I was
Look at
like, oh
that.
wow, yes, it's been a while.
We get old.
Yes, I definitely I can feel the what is it, the 30s that
Girl,
I'm
girl.
moving. So
Yes. So
yeah.
I'm excited because even though I've been knowing you for 10 years, we've never talked professionally about what we do in the professional world. Now we've had personal conversation, even the podcast we've done about your personal life. But I'm excited because everything that I'll be hearing from you today is organic and this is the first time. So it's not like I've been knew what you did,
Yeah.
and so I'm just excited to see you in another light because when we met, you hadn't even graduated college yet, and now
I know.
you're a grown up now. So it's just
Lord
exciting just to learn from you. I love this shirt. It's just I'm excited to get to know Delisha as the occupational therapist. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I know I briefly introduced you, but can you tell listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do in the world?
Yes, so my name is Delisha. I am originally from Helena, Arkansas, and I started school there, and I transferred to Arkansas State. That's where I got my degree, far as the OT, and I've been doing this for 4 years now. So I've been working at a clinic here in Jonesboro called CME Pediatric Therapy, and they serve like all disciplines, so OT, PT, and speech. And it's been really like a journey, but it's good. I've learned a lot. And as far as like my background, I got introduced to therapy actually in a career orientation class. And that class it just gives you like different ideas of things you can do after high school. So that was like my first introduction to therapy. And later on, like I said, I was working, I did home health for almost 2 years. So I was working with older adults, and I got to see a lot of therapy in and out of the homes and doctor's appointments and stuff. So I've always enjoyed watching that, and I was like, I think I can do that because I enjoy helping people. So I wanted to make sure that whatever I do, like it was centered around that, and so that's how I pretty much got started. And then with the kids, I honestly thought I would be working with more with older adults just because that's what I was always around. But I always had opportunities where I could work with kids. I babysat for a while, tutored, especially during COVID. I did this program with City Youth, and so they opened up a certain time for the kids to come in that maybe didn't have internet at home or a computer, tablet, or whatever. And so I would help them with their schoolwork because a lot of parents still had to work even though COVID pretty much shut down the world. It was still parents that were working from home or still having to go to their workplace. I did a lot of tutoring there. Just it was just like always like opportunities where I could work with kids. And then like my first job was with after I passed my board and everything was at the job I'm currently at now. And so yeah, and like I said, it's going on 4 years, so I really enjoy it. It is. I'm not gonna say it's just easy because it does have challenges, but it's like something that gives back to you. It's very rewarding. So
Yes, girl. Look, I love your consistency. If one thing, Delisha gonna be consistent, okay? I'm occupational therapy. So why, like, what made you decide? Is it any like significant? I know you mentioned that you went to the career fair, but
mhm.
what made it stick out to you to say, you know what, I want to be a therapist?
Okay, so I'm gonna share this with you. I think you know a little bit, but my mom actually. So this has been about maybe 6 or 7 years now, but she was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and it's called neuromyelitis optica. So it affects your eyesight, your spinal cord, and hers was more so her spinal cord. And so she was pretty much paralyzed the waist down. She had no function, and it took a while to figure out exactly what was going on. But once they got her the medicine she needed, and she needed a lot of therapy because she had to learn how to walk again, like everything. So she had all disciplines, but PT and OT were pretty heavy. And so I got to see that hands on. I was like, I really like this because they included us in everything, like all their planning and stuff, and things that we could do like around the home to make it like easier for her to navigate. Like anything, it was just really helpful. And I'm just like, because a lot of stuff I didn't know, just moving like certain things around the house because she had a walker now. And then, like before she was able to do that, she had a wheelchair. So, learning how to put the brakes on and the footstools and all of that. So, it was very helpful. And I was like, I think I could do this. So, that really pushed me to get into
So what is occupational therapy for somebody that's never heard of the word
it.
no idea
Okay.
what it is? What is occupational therapy?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the definition first and then I'll go back and explain it. But occupational therapy, if you were to have a definition, is using like any meaningful activity to you that will help you develop, regain, or adapt those skills so you can be able to do it. So I always think of like whatever is meaningful for you. So if you're going to work, I'm able to help you be able to do that with, say, you just had like a disability or something come up, but now you have to do things differently. So I'm able to help you think of different ways to do still be able to do those things. I always say it's like what you want to do, need to do, or expected to do. So like your desires, if you like your needs, just the basic combing your hair, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, and expecting most people are still working or they're taking care of the home, their kids. So we're able to come up with activity, even if it's simulated. So we may have things where set up where it's similar to the home or whatever environment that you're going to be in, and we'll have different activities, come up with things you can do to make sure you're able to do that once you leave therapy. And far as kids, it's based a lot around play therapy, and like watching them, seeing are they able to like share or able to express different emotions? Can they regulate being in an environment with a lot of other kids? It can be very broad, but good about OT is we are what's the word? We make it where it's all about you, specific to you, because everyone's different. So I really enjoyed that about OT.
So just a follow-up question from that,
Mhm,
because I know my son, when he was diagnosed with autism, one of
mhm,
the recommendations was an occupational therapy evaluation. And I took him, we did the evaluation. He
mhm,
started doing OT. I
mhm,
didn't understand what was the benefit or the purpose in doing it as a parent. And I know I'm probably not the only one that feels that
mhm,
way, especially like just because most of the people that are watching these episodes are people who recently, their child may have recently been diagnosed with autism. And now it's like your whole life is changing. So it's like, okay, now all of a sudden my son has this diagnosis and they're
mhm,
saying he needs speech therapy, they're saying he needs occupational therapy. So with speech therapy, it's okay, I
mhm,
get it. He needs speech because he needs to talk. But with occupational,
mhm.
I actually took him out because I was like, I didn't understand what's the benefit. Like, why are we? Then she goes, homework. I'm
Jessica.
like, enough work. So can you just talk to what's the benefits of occupational therapy?
Okay, so I want to share this example I learned from one of my coworkers, and it's like it breaks down each discipline, but it's a very simple. So, say that you're needing to go out of a door. You said speech helps you communicate that need. I gotta walk out the door, so we know that's what speech do.
Mm-hmm.
PT helps you walk to the door because they're like the strengthening, conditioning discipline. OT is the one that helps you open the door because we're more like fine motor, making sure you have the strength in your hand to twist the doorknob or the core strength to even stand upright or sit upright to be like, okay, the speech. I need to go to the door. OT, you're able to sit up and actually use those fine motor muscles and stuff like that. So I try to use that example, especially like with parents, because a lot of people still don't know what OT is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought, I like any chance I get, I try to share because it's so simple, but it literally you can see like what each discipline works on. And I just try to share that every time because I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I feel
Everyone
like
needs
a
to
light
know.
bulb just went off in my head, like
Yeah,
because I'm like,
yeah,
because I work with parents every day, getting them services,
yeah.
and another thing is I thought it was only for children with behaviors.
Yeah,
So,
and we get that a lot, and a lot of parents think like therapy is only like for disability, or if they're hurt, they don't think of just the sensory overload, dysregulation. They don't think about being able to hold a pencil, use
mm,
scissors, and stuff like that. And so I'm like, no, like we work on a lot of things. So yes, that's. I always try to use that example because it's oh my gosh, like now I know what OT is. Now I know what
yeah,
PT is.
yeah, I'm gonna use
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna use that with my parents.
Yes, please do. Please
Yeah.
do.
Is it a
But
big difference between OT? I just want to get the background information until we get into
mhm,
strategies and stuff. Is it a big difference between OT for children and adults, or is it pretty much the same thing?
no, I may be jumping ahead of myself because I know we have some things that we're gonna discuss, but usually, like, I'll just go back to like developmental milestones. Like, by a certain age, you should be able to do certain things. So, if you like miss those
Hmm.
later in adulthood, you'll have like probably, you'll have issues where you can't do certain things. Just say if you're filling out paperwork or something, you're not able to have that legibility to write things on the line or sit up and actually read or copy things down. It can be just all issues for them in the future. We usually say we have like older kids, like teenagers or so, we would have to go back and see, okay, how were you growing up? So we talk with the parents, we collect like an occupational profile and we go back and okay, were they crawling at this age? Were they making sounds? Were they pointing? Where did they have tummy time? So it's really always say be proactive versus reactive, because then like when you have to go back, like you literally have to look at everything. Okay, like what happened, why we're not able to do those things. So it's really not much of a difference. It really depends on what the issue is, and we that's how we.
So what do you do with that information? I know you mentioned tummy time. So what if a
Mhm.
kid didn't do tummy time? Then
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
So we work a lot of like core, because OT is I and that's another point I need to make. OT is more upper body, PT is lower body. So OT will, if they didn't have that tummy time, which like in a session we'll do a lot of core activities. It could be sit-ups, it could be planks, it could be push-ups, anything that can strengthen their core. A lot of their the peanut ball, the big therapy balls. Like I said, just any activity geared around those things to help address core strength.
I'm doing a class next weekend on child
Oh,
development. Yeah, foster parent class on child
yeah.
development. And this really it puts into context like the because I was going through my curriculum and doing a lesson plan and stuff. And one thing it talked about is children when they miss certain things. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying, it makes sense, like hearing it in
Yeah.
reality, okay, they didn't get that tummy time when they were a kid. So let's do the ball. So let's do the ball, stuff like that, because you still got to get that skill. So that's what it remind me of. We got to go back and see, okay, how did we
Mhm.
get here? And so I can see a lot of that things that I'm doing with my son. First was diagnosed, he was like, he was a fireball. He was off the chain, and we had to kind of go back. Okay, he needs more structure. Like me as
Mhm.
a mama, like you on 10, I'm on 10 too. Like,
Yeah.
and so then it's so we had to
Mhm.
go back to the okay, we need a little bit more patience here. We need to do this,
Yeah.
we need to do that. So just
So.
hearing that let me think about even what I'm doing with the child development and stuff like that. So it makes sense. So I did want to ask, so what are some things I know you mentioned tummy time. Is there anything
Mhm.
else parents want to like go back and be like, wait a minute, did we do that? Now I know you said tummy time. Is there anything else?
I would say just play, like letting them. I know it may be like, oh no, I'm not. Just let my child roam around, but just exposure to a
Mm,
lot of things. Because most of the time, it's not something mentally or it's not sensory. They're just simply not. They haven't been exposed to it, and so
mm,
of course they'll be like you said, just on 10, like what's going on and
yeah.
type of thing. So just making sure they're playing, getting that exposure, using their hands, like you're communicating with them. So a lot of like face to face time and just being expressive, so they're able to like once they are able to talk and stuff, they can be like, this makes me feel this way, like different emotions and stuff. So we can go on. But yeah, just I would say the big thing is making sure they're getting that exposure and playtime, getting outside, and yeah.
I know we talked a little bit about too much screen time, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think here we could go ahead and touch on
Oh,
your time
I
as an
was gonna.
occupational therapist.
Yeah, because it really can limit them. Because if screen time, they're just looking at the screen, they're not using anything. You get what I'm saying? I know
Yeah.
that they have like different things, like educational things they can do, but maybe like instead of all day, maybe an hour, or split it up, maybe do something in the morning, do something in the evening, or but not where it's just that's all they have all day, because they're missing those like developmental milestones from, like I say, the communication. Like they're just
Mhm.
staring at a screen. They don't know how to talk to you, or they're not pointing, or they're not using their hands. They're just literally just sitting there. So yeah, because I don't want to be like, don't give your kids electronics, because it's not that. But I would seriously say just limit the time. Don't, that's not something I would recommend to do all day. because you'll see it like once they're school age, they can't even hold a pencil. They're not. They don't know how to use scissors. Scissors. I keep saying scissors. Scissors. They're not able to stack blocks. Just like simple things. You be like, what happened? And a lot of it is screen time.
So I know I get parents who say a lot of things. One of them, they don't even know what to do with their kids if they're not on a. I don't know if you see that, but
Mm-hmm.
it a lot when parents are like, okay, if I'm not giving them this iPad or TV screen, what am I supposed to do? I also have a lot of parents who don't actually have the toys that
The
they need. I know I was speaking with a occupational therapist before this, like on my team for my agency, and she was talking about how back in the day, like the toys were heavier,
mm-hmm.
they had to get on your hands and your knees, stuff like that. And now is the toys are lighter. They got too many lights flashing on them, which I don't know. I'm not a therapist, but I just know from what she was saying, it's too many lights. The toys are actually lighter. They're no longer required to get on their hands and knees and stuff like that. I know one thing that you were going to be discussing is actually strategies for parents at home. Be a good time to talk about that. Like
Yeah,
what's some things that they can do besides screen time?
yeah. I was gonna say get them involved in things around the home. So cleaning, cooking.
Mm,
Yeah, as literally because you can it can be learning moments too. Just being able to because I know you mentioned like if you and the child are both on 10, you can't co-regulate.
mm,
It'll just be an imbalance. I would definitely arts and crafts. I know it's really like simple things that you can do around the home, but definitely involve them in stuff so they can just use like those skills or learn those skills later on. And for the parents, I know sometimes it's hard. I will mention that because you have working parents, you have parents that have more than one child in the home. So I try to suggest like doing what works for that household, like setting a time, special time, like you can work with that child, or like trying to involve the whole family so it's not so much on the mom or the parent, the dad, and but really just using. I say use what you have because
mhm.
I know sometimes, like you mentioned about, there's not a lot of toys like available like they used to be, or even I would say like finances. A lot of parents are not able to just buy everything, and
Your
so
inflation is high.
yes, yeah. So I know it's I would just get creative, but I would definitely my examples mainly I use is like cooking and cleaning and things like that, baking cookies, or even if you want to do something outside, you don't want to make a mess in the house, like maybe go outside and do even like sidewalk chalk or like we used to, like the mud
Mhm,
pies and everything like that. Just let them be expressive too. Like you just, it's like a free play thing. But I know, like I said, a lot of parents don't want all of that stuff in their house. So I recommend like going outside.
mhm,
Um, and then just getting the whole family involved if that's possible, but really it's about what works for your household too. So I just try to go in, especially like the parents that I'm in communication with, just get an idea like what their routine is, and I'll maybe suggest things like maybe instead of a movie you'll do a game, like a game night, or like I said, like the cooking, maybe baking cookies, or we going outside. I know a lot of people are getting into gardening and stuff like that because of
just start
inflation.
gardening.
Yeah, so just suggesting like things like that where it's not so much screen time, or and if you do, I say have games, make sure you're like up moving. The is it the Wii and stuff like that where you're still active, you're not just sitting there.
Yeah, so like on my own empowered parenting journey, I was like, I'm gonna start teaching my kids gardening and stuff like that.
Yes.
Knock that thing right over. I said, you sure gotta have a lot of patience because it's just I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So I had planted the seeds and we was putting the stuff together and then he knocked that thing right on over. As soon as it started to sprout, I was like, so definitely I know for me I gotta have a lot of patience. Yeah.
Mhm. And
So I
be grateful on yourself too, because
yeah.
it's a learning for both of y'all. It's a learning experience for both. So I always just try to like encourage the parents' patience and making sure you're graceful on yourself, because it's a process. It's not something that just happens overnight,
Hmm.
and just consistency, making sure you're consistent with whatever you're working on. And if I say instead of doing two or three things, maybe just one thing at a time until they're comfortable. Just making sure you have a common environment where they feel safe, they're able to express themselves and open up to you, because that's really big. Because I always say that the unknown is scary. So
Mm,
just being like communicating with them, okay, we're going to do this, or I sometimes suggest like visual schedules, or just making a list of like your day, like things you're going to do, or just even if it's just getting ready, you make your bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, so they'll know what's next and they won't be 10 or, interrupt you. I was just like, my wheels are spinning.
no, we need all the information. So that's what we need it all. So
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to a question that I asked you because I actually forgot. One
Mhm.
thing that I've noticed with my families is when they have some of my clients are like in just coming out of the NICU and they are like 2 months, 1 month, 2 month, 3 months old, and they need occupational therapy. And what I'm noticing as a social worker is it's a lot of overlap with
Mhm.
physical and occupational therapy. So I did want to go back because these babies can't open the door. So
Yeah.
could you kind of explain the difference between PT and OT for newborn and
Mhm.
6 months old children?
So with PT, you will see them doing a lot of just strengthening stuff. So they may do. I will give an example like the quad pose. So they'll put them on their hands and their knees just to get that. And we do that as well. It is, I was gonna say, that's a good one because it is a lot of overlap. So I'll just say from OT we'll do a lot of just the face to face, a lot of tracking, like
Mm,
visual tracking. So we may in that sense use light up tools just to grab their attention, to see if they'll
mm,
like reach for things, just to get that exposure. We'll have them on their tummy so they can like look around like their environment. And what else? Just like they can't do sit-ups, so we'll do a lot of elbow to knee, things like that. So a lot of passive range of motion with that age group. And PT, they would do that as well, but it's more like I said, a muscle building with them versus us. It's like exposure, a lot of passive range of motion, a lot of play, and like the face to face, things like that. Yeah, that was really good.
you used a couple big words.
Uh-oh.
I want to make sure because I want to make sure we're breaking this all the way down. I want
Yeah,
every parent who watch these interviews to be like, I'm a pro at this. I
yeah,
get two words that you use. One of them is co-regulate, and the
yes.
other is manage emotion. And I know you mentioned passive, so of course, if you're saying passive, that means there's an active as well. So could
Mhm.
you explain those three terms?
Oh yeah, so like I thought of co-regulation when you were talking about you and your son, because if you're not able, so co-regulation is when the child and the caregiver, parent, therapist, or whoever they're with, they're pretty much on one accord, so they're able to calm. In simple terms, they're calm. They're on the same level.
Mm,
versus one is up here, one is up there, or y'all both up there and you can't calm each other down. So
mhm.
that's co-regulation. And with the range of motion, that's just being able to move like in all planes. So being able to bend your arms and to turn your head or move your body basically. And passive range of motion is when so they're not able to do that on their own. Like right now I'm moving my
Oh,
arm.
okay.
But with passive range of motion, I'm doing it for you.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah, that's
No, that was it. So it
oh,
was three. So that was it. It
yeah.
just kind of made me think about I actually have a client now who is in foster care who is now needing speech, occupational, and physical therapy. And
Oh,
so that makes a lot of sense because he is actually almost 2 years old. He
mhm.
is functioning at the level of a newborn child. He
Mhm.
can't move his neck. He can't sit up. He's on an oxygen machine. He can't do anything except smile.
Yeah, so
And so now it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And he the cutest baby too. So he got a cute
yeah.
smile. But that's the he can't lift his arm. He can't lift his
Mhm.
legs. He can't sit up. He can't do anything. And I was wondering myself. I'm gonna still help him. But you know what I'm saying? Getting the right services in place. But I was
Oh, yeah.
myself like what can be done. And so when you mentioned the passive range of motion
Mhm.
and different things like that, now it makes sense. Okay, that's what he's gonna be working on his
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So yeah, so that was good. Like I said, we just want to
Mhm.
break it down so that
Yeah.
by the time parents leave, they are superstars at their own children and
Mhm.
understanding the world of developmental delays, which brings me into my next question, which
Uh-huh.
is what should parents be looking out for? Like, how do you even know that your kid needs, besides just having a diagnosis, how would you know that your child actually needs occupational therapy?
I always say if you notice any delay, they're 1 years old and they're not speaking or they're not walking or not trying to like even eat on their own because we do feed and stuff too. Like if it's like anything, I would, or if they're like in daycares or schools, pre-K and everything, and you talk with their teachers and they may mention something, I
Mhm.
would just, of course, you have your doctor, talk with your doctor and ask them, okay, my child, they're not doing this right now and they're this old. Should I be concerned? Should I get evaluation or like with me, I do screeners. So at my job, we do screeners. Say if a speech therapist or PT notice they're not able to say colors, recognize shapes and stuff, they'll like maybe this child could benefit from OT. So I'll do a quick screener, and it may be like 3 or 4 skills that they should be able to do at that age. So it goes by the age, and if they can't do it, I'll be like, they may could benefit from an evaluation or like after talking, of course, getting to know the parent and like how their sessions are with the other therapists. I'm like, maybe there's just a lack of exposure. We'll just have to like add more of that kind of stuff in the sessions. I really say just if you just notice something that's off, we're not doing this at a certain age, I usually say just always, of course, consult with your doctor and just see, because it doesn't hurt for a screener. It doesn't hurt to get an evaluation or just have someone just take a quick look and see maybe they could get an evaluation to see do they really need it or it's just something that needs to be more incorporated in their routine in their life. I usually recommend just as a quick reference for milestones, the CDC website,
Mm,
Centers for Disease Control. They have a chart and they like list the developmental milestones. Like
mhm.
let's a quick reference. I try to recommend something like that because you can easily pull it up like on your phone or your.
Yeah, I think they have an app too, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes. So I try to like look recommend like things like that to parents just so they can like no, okay, like my child should be doing this by this age. But yeah, so anything besides the normal, like the predisposed conditions, so any like autism, Down syndrome, another common one, cerebral palsy. So anything outside of that, I try to just making sure you're in communication with your doctor, or if you just notice something that they're not doing by a certain age.
So what's the name of the screener that you use?
Oh, it's just so we made it ourselves. And yeah, and it's based on the milestones too. And so
Okay.
we'll just be, it goes by the age, and it just have a list of skills. And so we'll see, can they stack blocks? Can they, if they're babies, can they track? Are they turning their heads, reaching for toys? Are they able to sit up without having support? Or in the older kids, are they able to like draw a shape or imitate me? So if I draw a vertical line, can they do that? Or a circle? Can they hold their scissors? Can they cut, maybe snip paper? So it really just depends on
Mhm.
their age. And
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I know for me personally, it's not all pediatricians are good pediatricians, and I had to find that out the hard way. I know that in your bio, it talks about you actually advocate on the benefits of earlier intervention, and one of the reasons I was asking about the screener is because I do screeners as well. I would say because I actually do the AS screeners, which can also be done at the pediatrician's office. For anybody that's watching, because I know sometimes it can be a matter of a parent needing to get the screener done, because I know with my daughter, my children, we are a neurospicy household. It's a lot going on with my kids, and I know with my daughter in particular, when she was around preschool age, and one of the daycare teachers was like, she should get tested for ADHD. I'm like, who they talking to telling me my baby got? And so I think if I would have known that, ASQ is ages and stages questionnaire. So if y'all don't, if whoever is listening, talk to your pediatrician, and if they can't do it for you, hit me up or hit Delisha up, because she may be able to do a screener for you as
yeah,
well. But I feel if I would have known that then, I could
yeah,
have done a screener, and then it's okay, wait, maybe she not doing this or certain things, because she ended up having a I've been doing pediatric therapy for a long time, over 10 years. We've been dealing with special needs and like different stuff like that. So I think it's good that you say that parents can get screeners done, because
yes,
it's not as much pressure as, okay, you may be worried about, is this I know I get parents, is this evaluation going to be on my kid records? So then the kid goes without help because you thought the only thing that you could do
the
is an
labels.
evaluation. So I think, as I'm grateful that you mentioned that there are screeners available for parents to do on their own. Then you take. So my other question, I know we wrapping it on up and getting to the end. Like, this is such a good
Man.
conversation. But yeah, so one thing I want to ask you is, what are the benefits of early intervention?
Like I was gonna say when you were talking, I was like, be proactive.
Yes.
But literally, it's simple as preventing things in the future for your kids that could make it challenging in school. Because, like you said, you don't like those labels. You don't want them thinking like, oh, my child has ADHD, or that they're bad and stuff like
Yes.
that. It
Yes.
literally could be just something that they need to work on. And so you're getting those screeners, or just talking with your PCP, or talking with the teacher, and okay, like figuring out, okay, they're doing this or they're not able to do this, so you're getting ahead of it. And that really saves a lot of the child like feeling left out, because they don't understand, they can't process, oh, I just can't sit down. They're thinking it's just them when they may just be dysregulated. I know I keep saying it, but it's literally things like that. If you like just take the time and just get those screeners, talk with the PCP that can really, okay, shed some light on what's really going on versus putting that label. Because a lot of parents, they don't want to get those ADHD, the autism, and everything, because they don't want that label because it
Mhm.
puts this umbrella over the child. They're not capable of a lot of things, and that's not it. This is just a part of them. That doesn't limit them. So
Yeah.
I wanted to stress that too, because I hate to see that,
Hmm.
because a lot of parents they won't do it because they think nothing's wrong with my child, and it's not. It's just something that they're struggling with right now. But if they get the therapy or whatever they need, they won't have this issue in the future. So I really try to push that. You see something? Okay, let's check it out. Let's see. It couldn't be, it don't have to be something all the time. Like I said, it could just be something that you can work on more, or that like in the school or whatever they're doing. It doesn't have to mean like there's a problem. So I just try to be proactive.
Yeah, and then another thing, and it's the last thing because I want to respect your time. So something that I saw in your bio, it says you educate underserved communities on therapy options. Could you talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that? Like what you
Yes.
do and why you do that?
Okay, I actually had the opportunity to work with Delta Circles, which is an organization in Helena, in my hometown, and they just pretty much give back to the community, provide resources for things like from expecting mothers to just networking entrepreneurs. They have a lot of events where they like will host like Shark Tank, like the entrepreneur is able to get up and talk about their business and stuff, and like you have people that may want to invest and stuff, so it's showcasing that, especially there is not like a lot of opportunities there, jobs and stuff, so it's really good. It's just bringing back
Mm,
notice to the town. And I was gonna say another big thing was we've had water issues, so they like set a time out where they'll give out water to people around the community because a lot of people are without water, so they're not able to bathe, have just drinking water, cook, and all that stuff. So that was just like highlighting a few things. But one thing that I did, we did like a sensory conference. So it was me and two other OTAs. We got together and made activities like sessions where you can go to based on like the senses, your eyes, touch, smell, and things like that. Just like an icebreaker thing, just getting people involved and stuff. And but it was really a really good event. It was a lot of educators there, a lot of people around the community that just work with youth, other therapists, PTs, speech, and of course OT. And so we were able just to highlight therapy because a lot of, especially there, but like I said, it's not a lot of resources there. People don't even know what therapy is. So it was like a really good event where we were able to just explain what we did and how it could help. And if like what we're doing here, like if you see things like I went to this conference and we talked about this, maybe y'all can do that, you benefit from this. So it was really just a lot of just tips and information that can be used to help your child or a child you may know. And I'm hoping that we can do that again because the plan was to try to do it every year,
mm,
but it was really good. Like I say, they do stuff all the time just for the community, and so I was really happy to be a part of that. Yeah.
okay. Look, Delisha, you out here doing your thing,
I'm
girl.
trying. I'm
I
trying.
didn't know you was doing all this. It's so crazy because we're an occupational therapist. However, until it becomes your world. you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's true.
I just want to commend you for all the amazing things that you're doing. I didn't know you was an event planner too, girl. Come on. You're gonna have to come to Atlanta, okay?
Yes, yes, I really need to. I plan to come visit soon. I really do.
Yes, I know we touched on mostly everything. I know
Mhm.
we developmental milestones as well as strategies that
Mhm.
parents can use at home. So just in wrapping up, is it anything else that you wanted to say as it relates to
Um,
occupational therapy or any advice or anything that you have for families before we close out?
I would just say my final advice. I know I would just say be consistent. Get your support group. Celebrate like every step. So like to just keep you encouraged because like I said, it is a long process. It can be a long process, and just making sure you're in communication. Advocate. You see something, make sure you're advocating. My child needs this, or if you know of a child, just to because a lot of people they just don't know, and so I. And this is really good. I'm so happy you asked me to do this, to be a part of this, because a lot of people just don't know,
Yeah,
and this will be a great resource just to refer back to, or if you have more questions, it just opens up that door, like where
yeah,
you can keep communicating. But definitely, I was gonna say, and the parents, I've mentioned that before, just be graceful. Don't be afraid to talk with the therapist, express that need. If you have a therapist or the teacher, just advocate. But yeah, I'm like, I know I can keep going on and on.
yeah.
But yes, I'm so happy that we did this. This is really good.
Well, thank you so much just for taking time out of your busy day to be here. And how can listeners stay connected with you?
Oh, that's we need to work on that. I was gonna say Facebook, Instagram. It's just my name, so you can find me on those platforms. And yeah, we gonna work on it, I promise you. Next
Yes,
time I'm gonna have me a visit
website and all that. Yes,
website and everything.
yeah, you look like you doing amazing. And like I said, so many people that can use your help. Miss Author, you're an author, you
Yes,
speaking, you
yes,
hosting events, you doing your things. We gonna get it together. We definitely gonna
yes.
get it together. So, but thank you to everyone who watched. I hope that you learned something. I'm sure you did. It was plenty of stuff to learn from this lovely interview with Delisha. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.
Bye.